and welcome today to Tuesday Takeaways and Celebrity Customer Experience. And I am joined today with one of the amazing experts that is going to be on the Easy Think Tank solution, Julie Brain Lady Anderson. So thank you for joining me today, Julie.
Oh, good morning. My pleasure. I'm really excited. I'm excited to be with you again and excited about the event and excited. I'm just excited.
That's great. I know. And all of you who are watching, you know that when you are totally emboldened and driven and passionate and obsessed with what you do and how you help people, then you understand why we're all so excited. So today's a little different from our usual Tuesday takeaways, where we riff, being that this is also it's celebrity customer experience riffs with Jill Raff. But we're going to riff today a little bit extended. Yes, it's employee experience and customer experience, but we're going to go a little bit broader and just give you a taste and want to make you aware of this Easy Think Tank that we have coming up. There are 15 experts, all who really have expertise in their specific area. Some of them overlap, but they just in a fringe way. So one really connects to the other, and we're experts there to help businesses today deal with the challenges of re-entering the market in a strong way with, whether companies are bringing people back yet. We're all over the spectrum. Some are going to hybrid. Some are saying we're full in. So it creates a lot of challenges. And 25% of the workforce doesn't want to go back to work in the office. So how do you handle that as a business owner? And everyone's tired. We're fatigued and stressed and anxious about what does it look like. COVID is still with us. We're not out of it yet. And so there are just so many obstacles and new set of problems as we face going back into jumpstarting our businesses. So we are coming together as a group of 15 women who have been meeting now during this time period of COVID for over about, I think, a half year now or something. Julie, is that right?
Yeah, I want to say we started last September, maybe last August, something like that. It's been a while.
It's pretty early on. And so we've been meeting to support each other as experts and saying, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from your clients? What are you seeing in the marketplace? And we have been masterminding ourselves. We've been brainstorming and masterminding and using our space on a weekly basis as a think tank. So we thought, okay, let's not just totally hold this to ourselves. Let's share all of this knowledge across so many women with everyone else. So we decided to put together our own think tank. It will be amazing. Coming up next week, starting Monday the 17th, there will be So there will be 3 hours of interviews, 5 women a day. And okay, let me back up. The 17th, 18th, and 19th, there will be videos for you to watch, a half hour from each expert. And the first day is engagement. So EASY is an acronym, right? Engage, adapt, strategize your work solutions. And so that's why that's the name of the event that we're having. So the first day, Monday the 17th, is engagement. And you will have 5 experts talking to you about engagement, how they help in that area in your business. Tuesday, the 18th, will be adapt. Everyone has to be adaptable in today's world. Adaptability is huge and key. And then the 19th, Wednesday, the 19th, is strategize. And that's the day that I'm actually on. And so, again, 5 women interviewed about how do we strategize? What are the best systems? What are the best strategies, the best plans to attack all of these different problems that we're having? And then the coolest thing, which I'm so excited about, Julie, is
Thursday.
We're going to be live. We are going to be with you live in a conference, a virtual conference platform called AirMeet. It is amazing. And it truly is like a conference. You go to different tables, so you will be able to be a part of and listen to panels of each of these five women on each topic. So we'll have panels for each of those. And then there's going to be time for you to network with each other or with us. You can choose the other attendees. And then we're going to have a Q&A session. It's live. We'll each be at different tables. You can come take a seat at the table and we can see and talk to each other. It's going to be really cool. Tell us about your day, Julie.
Yeah, I have to echo, I'm really excited for the 20th because that's when everything up to the 20th, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're just talking, right? We're just giving out the information that we have. But on the 20th, it's that interaction. So it's answering all of your questions. It's all about you. It's all about the attendees to be able to come and just ask any question that pops in your mind. It might not even be something that was covered on any of the video interviews, but it'll be something, it'll give you the opportunity to have a seat with 15 experts in the corporate leadership, team building, systematizing, all of that those experts, you'll be able to just sit and just kind of pick their brain. And I love picking people's brains.
You're the brain lady.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. That's a good point. So you may have questions that really weren't discussed before. And yes, the first 3 days is us delivering information to you, but it's not about us. We're delivering information that hopefully will help you.
Right.
Kind of jumpstart where you're going, help you jumpstart your mind, your creativity, your thought process, and your questions naturally as a result of that. So we are delivering value in those first 3 days, Monday the 17th through Wednesday the 19th. And then hope that you take notes throughout those 3 days. Write down and take special note of who resonates with you. Like maybe depending upon what's going on in your business, there's going to be some people that will resonate with you more now, maybe, but take notes about everybody because maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, your business will definitely be in a different place. Mm-hmm. Now maybe one of the other speakers' content becomes more relevant for you. So we are all available. And that's what's so cool that I love about our group. We're the easy team. We want to make your business easy, and we are a team. We support each other. When you work with one of us, you have the benefit of working with all of us because everyone brings their area of expertise. Look, we can't be an expert in everything, right? Because we can do many things, and each of us has had a lot of experience in different areas. Your wheelhouse is really your area of expertise. And so we're able to really tap on each other. So it's a very unique group. It's a very unique team that we have here that we're bringing to you.
Yeah. And I love that what you said in the very introduction, you made the comment that we all have our areas of expertise and some of them overlap. But even if we're talking on the same basic topic, our approach and our technique is unique to how we address that. And so, for example, one of the other guests, Kathy Norris, I had the privilege of interviewing Kathy, and I didn't realize until after the interview just how synergistic what we do is. And we both really work with helping teams work better and leaders work better, but we approach it from different angles, a little bit different techniques, and those techniques are very complementary. So it's really that benefit that it's bringing to any of the clients or the corporations, organizations, nonprofits, whatever it is just this amazing, very well-rounded approach from all of these dynamic experts. And I'm just feel very honored to be a part of these other experts and to be here with you, Jill, and all the other ones that are going to be presenting their zone of genius, as Pat Roquet would say.
Yes, well, and not only Pat, a lot of people, but yes. And I'm so excited. We've got someone else joining us. Hi, Beate.
Hey, how are you? So good to see you.
Oh, it's so great to see you. This is fun. We've got all three of us here. So Beate is just a master, also helping pull all this together. Beate, we were just explaining kind of logistics of the day and how each of us brings our own area of expertise, our own zone of genius. And but yet, even when they overlap a little bit, each one has its own unique approach. And so we just complement each other so well, and how when they when they work with one of us, they get all of us because we are an easy team that makes their business easy to grow and to deal with what's going on today. So before I say more, please introduce yourself and give us your input. We're just so excited.
Thank you. So my name is Beate Gillette. I'm known as the Growth Architect. And my specialty is developing strategies for visionaries and leaders and provide them with the tools to actually make their impact. And the idea of this Easy Think Tank was really born out of this moment where, like, I want you guys to imagine, like, we're sitting basically in this round table. I mean, it's a virtual round table, right? And so we're looking at each other and I'm going, she's so smart. Wow, that was really good. And so we're all looking at each other and we said, well, what are we going to do with this joint power? And so we decided that it's really never us who makes a decision for a client where they want to start. It's really always the client who identifies when they're hearing things to say, that resonated with me. Oh, I like her. That was really, that's what's going on in my organization. And so the idea really is not to say, hire me, hire me, hire me. Of course, that would be great. But the idea is to say, what resonates with you? Where do you think that your organization is at, or your team, or you as a leader? And that's what is so powerful about this Easy Think Tank. First of all, it's easy. And it doesn't matter on whether you like Jill or Julie. If a process mapping or strategy problem arises, you got me on your team anyway, right? So you don't have to worry about, should I start with a strategy and then do that or that? Because that really is we call ourselves fiercely collaborative. So in this fierce collaborative environment, we don't care where you start, just start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
start
it.
anywhere. Just start. You've got to take action. If you don't, you're making a choice to stay stagnant and status quo. And in today, especially the very fast changing world due to the pandemic, just like put it on super drive. And it's just a matter of looking at your business honestly, saying, where do I need help? How can we support you? And it isn't this big sales thing. On Monday through Wednesday, we are just delivering value as much as possible, giving you an idea of who we are, what it is that we do, what's our approach. And if that resonates, then that's the person you want to follow up on. And I was just mentioning, we're so excited about the 20th because we have this virtual true conference platform live. So you're going to hear panels. You're going to be able to speak to each of us. You can go to a table and brainstorm a strategy around your problems that you're having right now in real time.
Exactly. And I want to just mention, so that everybody understands that this is real, right? So we know what the issues are. And the issues are that you have 25 to 30% of your workforce that doesn't want to go back to the office at all. You have people that have an idea of a hybrid model that they have to sell, that they don't even know what that looks like. You have this dreaded new normal, which everybody uses the term, but nobody exactly can tell you what that is. You have now the work from anywhere model. And, and we have conversations with people that say, well, now with the work anytime, work from home model, the decisions that I was able to make first thing in the morning before I called Europe are pushed back one day because people with children, parents, do their second shift when the kids are in bed from like 8:30 until 11 o'clock. So he says, I'm getting emails at all kinds of hours of the day. Mm-hmm. So that means your expectations have to change. So how do you handle that? Mm-hmm. And then we have this mental health tsunami, which Julie can talk a lot about. Just the stress and the anxiety and don't forget what the media does, because it gives you stuff you already believe in. So if I believe that I have something to fear and I do one Google search for the next 3 months, all I'm going to get is the same content and I'm going to be freaking out. Julie, you want to talk about that a little bit? What's happening mentally?
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the biggest thing that I think people need to realize is that when your brain's under stress, you just don't think right. I mean, that's just the anatomy of the brain and how the lower regions of the brain take over your thought process when you're stressed. And when it does that, it literally steals the oxygen from the prefrontal cortex and shuts down the prefrontal cortex. That's the first area of the brain to shut down when you're stressed out. And the difficulty is that that's the part of your brain you need to solve problems, right? It's your prefrontal cortex that's heavily active when you are doing problem solving and creative, coming up with creative ways to work through difficult situations. So it's like this horrible catch-22. You can't win for anything because you're looking at something and it's causing you stress. And in order to get yourself out of that situation, you have to have your prefrontal cortex, which isn't active because you're stressed out. So it really is this tremendously difficult situation that every organization is being faced with. Again, nonprofit, large corporation, Fortune 100, or the one with 20 employees. It doesn't matter. It's everybody is faced with this difficulty, because if you're stressed out, you're not going to be able to think. If you're not going to be able to think, your productivity goes down, your problem solving, coming up with those solutions to challenges within the workplace or with your customers or your clients, all of that becomes that much more difficult. So it's taking the time to kind of step back and calm the stress, tell your amygdala to just chill out yep, exactly. And re-engage that prefrontal cortex. And oftentimes people don't even know it's happening. It's happening so automatically that you and your employees may not even realize it's happening. And that's where the powerhouse of something like the Easy Think Tank comes into play.
Because I have a question. I'm going to just totally impolitely interrupt you, and I'm going to ask you a very provocative question, Julie. So I have noticed that there's a lot of shootings lately.
Yes.
And so I also have noticed that in a lot of the conversations I'm having, there's a lot of hostility in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that? What's happening?
It's because your brain is functioning more on its emotion center, which is the lower regions of the brain, the more automated regions of the brain, rather than engaging that prefrontal cortex. Because when you're not understanding consequences of your actions, which is this portion of the brain, that's what it does, is it helps me understand if I walk into this situation angry or hostile, it's a no-win. Right? But people are not able to process that fully because this portion of their brain just is not functioning at 100% because of the stress levels. So the more stressed you get, the less you're able to logically work your way through something. And you respond more on emotion. And that's why we're seeing so much of what we're seeing is this people just aren't thinking things through. They're not able to think it out. If I do A and B, it's going to equal C. They can't get to what the equal is. They can't get to the C because their brain's not firing on all neurons. All the neural connections are not being made.
Yeah. And I think that we've been living in this underlying chronic stress for so long. And I think a lot of these shootings, a lot of the violence, what's happening is coming out of that, right? It's just a way to express that sometimes not even conscious, right? People sometimes aren't even aware. They just act out. And then if they were introspective and able to stop and think why, they might get to that deeper place to realize, oh, this is unstable and this is an unknown. And, the turmoil in our country, like you don't have to scratch very far or look very far to find all of these situations of unrest. And so that unrest, I think, is settling in our minds. And then when you have that stress, I mean, I think about when people show up to the workplace and you're already stressed. I know how I behave and how I think when and I am such a collaborative person. That is the top of my personality profile is collaboration and team player and leader, but also team player. And I know that when I'm feeling super stressed or cranky, that part of me is just not present. And I don't think you'd want to work with me as a team member. And so our goal is to be able to really create an environment where the employees are happily engaging with one another, being very productive, And that's where the EI component, I talk about the EI, the emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman first started, and actually my process kind of is based on that EI idea of, I think more than ever, leadership has to recognize that there is this underlying stress, and even themselves be trained, be educated more even than trained on really how do we handle our employees who are coming in with this stress level? How do we deal with them and speak to them and have them be aware of consequences and discipline and a balance of their own emotions and how they interact with each other? Because ultimately that's going to affect your staff, your employee, your workforce, and that affects your customers' experience without a doubt. So you're touching on all levels.
So that's a question actually I wanted to ask you, because you say that there's a difference between train and educate. And it sounds like that's a really big deal. Do you mind just giving me a little bit of insights? And I know there's a lot more in your interview and at the Executive Roundtable. I'm sure it's going to be a hot topic, but can we just hint on some takeaways here?
Sure, absolutely. So everyone talks about training, and yet it's important. But to me, training is taking care of the functional skills. It's the mechanics of how to do a job. And that's about all it is. Like, you could train an orangutan to smile, right? Like, let's face it. Or you could train someone who has a really bad attitude to perform a certain job. But is that person, with their values and their character, are they going to be productive and an instrumental part of your team? And that speaks to the point of education. You don't want to just train people who are really not right for your company, for your team. You want to educate them from the very beginning on what you stand for as a company, who you are. How do you want your people to interact and engage with each other and with your end customer? Really teach them the values, the mission, and the vision of your company, and make sure they're on board and that they can contribute to that. Because ultimately, down the road, when you get to further on with them being an employee, you want them to contribute. You want to hear their ideas. You want to implement their ideas as a part of the success of the entire company, because your employees are responsible for the success of your business. And so if you don't hire right from the beginning, if you don't educate them right from the start, not just train them, you are going to end up with heavy churn. And as I say, you're going to be making a lot of butter instead of making a strong business, because the turnover and the churn and the turnover will cost you so much money and chaos within the workplace that not only will your employees feel and may cause other employees to want to leave, but certainly your customers are going to feel that too, and no one's going to pay for that. So,
right. And so you pay a lot of attention to the onboarding process and what organizations are doing to make sure that these things are covered. So what do you see is commonly completely overseen? What do they miss?
Oh gosh, right now, sometimes just about everything. They need people so badly right now. Staffing is such a problem that they literally give them a couple of hours of basics, and it's the training. It's never the education, because they need them to perform the tasks, right? And so they just throw them out onto the floor or on the phone or whatever job it is that, add to their desk, whatever job it is that they're doing, without them understanding what they're doing it for and what they're a part of. And so you can't expect someone like that to stay around for very long, because they're not a part of anything that matters. They're not a part of something bigger. And statistics show that when employees feel that they're a part of something that's going to make a difference and that matters, that's when you have much higher productivity and lifetime value in your employees.
So another question that just popped up in my mind, and this is really for the both of you. So I've noticed that, especially in the age of Zoom, texting, and emails, that the tone is kind of like, no hello, no how are you, no how are the kids, how you hanging in there, but where's the report? Are you making the deadline? And so it feels like we're now starting to bark at each other in bullet points. So is that what you guys are seeing? And what are we going to do about this? Because it's all about, Jill, you just said it's all about the touch.
Yeah.
But where is the touch?
Well,
Yep.
that's it. People think, oh, we're a no touch situation, but I cannot tell you how many times when I've had a good experience
Yeah.
that I felt the personal touch in a no touch situation. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I find myself sometimes just writing back, like when you do social media, you just start out with the verb, right? You don't even put the nouns. And so I catch myself and I stop before hitting send. I make sure that I say, hi, Beate, or whatever it is. How are you? And so but I don't just say, how are you kind of remotely. I'll ask something a little bit personal or something about their family or something that I knew that they did. I try to connect. And that's my big thing, is about connection, not just connections, plural. It's not about just who you know. It's that genuine human to human connection. So
Yeah.
really important. No, go ahead, Julie.
No, and I would set a couple of good tips to see if you're doing it, because you may think, well, I said hi, right? Two things. One, smile as you're typing it.
Yes.
Okay. Smile. It's the same as talking on the phone. Smile. If you're smiling, the neurons in your brain are firing differently than if you're frowning, very differently. So smile. And then before you hit that send button, read it out loud. Don't just read it in your mind. Read it out loud and really listen to, how does this sound? Does it sound a little edgy? Does it sound a little sharp? Or does it sound like there's a genuine emotion or a genuine human portion to what it is? Because your brain, again, processes differently when you're reading in your mind, you're just hearing it, versus if you're actually hearing it out loud. So those are just a couple of tips to really make you kind of stop and think, okay, wait a minute. How does this really sound? How are they? I always train my teams, my leaders, think receiver, not sender, right? How are they going to perceive the message that I am sending? And how do they need to see, hear, or feel that message in order to get it and to process it correctly?
All right. Question for you, Julie. So how do you manage that with touchy-feely people versus logical, strategic winner types? Because
great question.
Yeah, it's left brain, right brain. It really honestly is. It's processing. That is normally when I am explaining or I'm trying to educate, as Jill would say, those left
we will
brain.
never use the word train ever again.
I know, right?
I promise.
I want to mention to change that. But
you're making a change here today, happening in the Easy Think Tank.
We're starting a movement.
Yes.
Is to educate the left brainers. Left brainers are, especially your boss type left brainers, they're very goal oriented, right? It's all about here's what we have to do. Now here's the steps we need to get it. Exactly. Point. If they understand, when they are educated and understand that they will get to that goal faster, they will achieve the success they desire on a quicker rate with less friction. If they shift the way they are addressing the right brainers, if they take into consideration the way their brain's processing information, if you tell a team player, a right brain team player, I want you on the team because I know you have assets that are going to benefit this project. Boom. You have them. They will run as fast and hard as they can to help you reach your goal. But if you just say, I need you to do A, B, and C today, and I need it done by 5 o'clock, they don't care. There's no emotion. They don't care whether I'm successful or not. So if the left brainers, if the logicals understand, by softening my approach, I'm going to hit my goal. I'm going to hit my revenue goals. That will help them to think more on how they're addressing the right brainers.
I have a great example on that. So I had one of my team members that was not meeting a deadline. And she was having a difficult time. The pet died, so understandably upset. We needed to meet the deadline. And so my first initial reaction is, we need to meet the deadline. I mean, that's pretty concise. And then I caught myself and I said, we have a lot of people that are depending on us to make sure that we are meeting this deadline, because if we don't meet our deadline, we're letting this whole group down. And that's not what we stand for. That's what we said we don't want to do. So what can we do to make sure that we are making good on our promises? Because we stand by our word and our commitment. Boom, she said until 3:00 in the morning to do it. Not that I think—
Beautiful example of reframing. Beautiful.
It is, yeah. You spoke to her personality type. So actually, I am a licensed type coach, and it deals on the same principles, exactly what you're talking about. And one of the coolest tools that I love about it is that people can put in they verify their type, and you could do that with your management, with your executive leadership, and then you have your staff or whomever you choose also go through their verifier. And there's this really cool, simple tool that shows you, oh, they're this type of person and I'm this kind of person. And it shows you short little fun videos of how to change the way you speak and to recognize not only who you are, but to recognize who they are so that you can both communicate better. It's a communication tool, really, more than a personality assessment. But first you have to identify who you are, because I think we go through life not even thinking about that. It's just like, we think people are going to think the way we think and they're going to respond. And well, I would do it that way, but others don't. So it's a real eye opener. I love it for that reason. And
you're making such a powerful point. So I see this when I do process mapping and strategy development all the time, because I see that oftentimes an organization insists that the system that they created works. Even though when we are in our uncovery process, we are seeing that their people are not using it, or they're bringing their own patch systems in, and they're using other programs outside of the programs because they don't know how to use them. So the boss says, well, we have the system, it works. And then when you talk to the people, they say, I don't even get it. I've never been, and this is the trained part, right? I've never been trained on how to use it. Nobody has educated me on what it even does. I'm sure some Microsoft, forgive me, Microsoft engineer developed it, or some Google geek, and they say, well, it's functioning, but it's not working. So Jill, to your point, I'm a Myers-Briggs, so I work with personality types in the strategy portion of my work, because it doesn't matter how great my system is if the person doesn't use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they can't get the concept, or even something so simple as a graphic view versus a list view can be the difference between you succeeding and you failing in your job, because you just can't, your brain just won't do it.
Yeah. It doesn't get it. The brain can't process it. That's why when we work the brain personality connection assessment, which is a little different, but it's still looking at and understanding what the brain needs in order to get it. Because two brains can need two completely different things. Like you said, some people need the bullet points. Some people want the words. Give me the words. Other people have to have it drawn out. Other people have to be tactile. They have to get in there and they have to experience, and then they have to walk through it. So understanding that the systemization is not as important as helping the person understand how the systemization works. And if they don't understand it, if they can't communicate that, then it's just, everything just gets clogged up and nothing gets moving forward, or it's not moving forward efficiently and effectively.
Or you start to think, oh, well, that team member is just really a pain, and they're just always, arguing about everything. They're so confrontational, and it actually may not be that. It just, maybe that's their way they process. They need to think things out loud. They need to have that debate. Like for me, I love a great, healthy debate, and it's not about conflict. To me, it's exciting. It's throwing out ideas and thinking about things. And so, other people would probably be like, oh my God, like chill out, like don't want to go sit in the corner because it's overwhelming. So it's really so fascinating.
I love that. And I can just totally see that. It's the same thing, with certain people that are more, and I call them the feelers, and I'm saying this in the most respectful way, but I am not. So when they have to talk things out, to me, it's like, do we have to talk about this again?
I love it. Look,
but then I catch myself when I go, my job is not to judge. My job is to watch for the personality type reveal.
Yeah.
And then I, as a strategist, as whatever I do, as a process mapper, I have to see and then go, to your point, Jill, it's not like, oh my gosh, they just don't get it. But to go, how do I need, and this is really the reframing, how do I need to present it so that this person can function at their highest potential and not take him down, but say, that's an interesting point. Why don't you tell me more? Even though inside I'm going, don't tell me more, because I'm already having my emotional overload. But this is the leadership piece that we are really talking about in the Easy Think Tank in so many different ways. It's a true leader, a true visionary has tools available, because it's not about you. It's about how can you engage your teams to do what is necessary and to just manage this insanity everybody's faced with.
Yeah.
And I'll take to the
person. I'm sorry. I just want to highlight, we've all been, this is what's going to be on the 20th. It's so great. You get this energy of us plus another 12 of us. But one of our other teammates, I'm going to put it up here. Pat wrote, "You ladies rock. You're doing amazing work, and thank you for sharing." Thanks, Pat, for joining us through our comments. And then she also wrote, "Employee engagement is key to keeping them happy and sticking around." Yeah, she wrote this back when we were talking about that, but I haven't been able to insert that. So
we've been too excited.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks, Pat, for joining and for adding your insights as well.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say to your point, Beate, that I think is really important is that when leaders understand that just taking that little extra time to make that connection, to communicate well. When I teach the brain process, one of the things is to be approachable and be responsive, to really understand and listen to what they say. If you take that extra as a leader, that little bit chunk of extra time, you're empowering them to fix the problems that you would normally have to fix. So it's going to make your job, your life as a leader easier, because they're gonna solve a lot of the problems on their own because you just empowered them to do it.
100%. Yeah, I say companies need to create leaders at every level. So it's not about someone at a higher level managing them like they're Tinker toys and moving them around. You actually want to be empowering them, and trusting is a big word that I use in my educate, engage, and entrust kind of platform. And when you do that, you are basically lightening your load, because you now can trust that people you've given this, you've educated them on what you want. You've engaged with them to show them what you want and how you want them to behave. So now they can take that and replicate that. And then you entrust them, then you can sit back and unload a lot of that responsibility so that you have time to do other things. And I did want to mention, and thanks, Pat, for bringing this up too, get your complimentary ticket to the Easy Workforce Think Tank Summit. And the address is www.easythinktank.com. Very easy. And Pat, if you want to join us with that invite link, please, you're welcome to pop on and join our conversation right now. She's mentioning, and I will put in the LinkedIn, or Pat, if you want to go ahead and write it in as a comment, the details. I think this is going in terms of getting your ticket. And she mentions that what we've talked about, it's good to have it written there, that on May 17th through the 20th, 15 experts sharing resources to make your corporate growth decision-making and problem-solving easy as your team heads into the new workforce dynamics over the next weeks and months. So very well summarized.
Yes, excellent summarization. And again, I think it's really important to point out it is really a little bit different than most of the other whatever summits or conferences that you have seen, because there is not any one single person that runs the show. It is all of us really collaborating, and we have done this for months and months. We've been brainstorming and masterminding around these massive changes that we see our clients experiencing from, again, the mental health stress, from the lack of a talent pool, from pipeline issues, from retention issues, from onboarding, from how do you train a manager to lead a team they've never met? How do you take someone who's never been at the water cooler and because you hired them right out of college, and what a water cooler conversation is, or what the culture will be in your organization. And so we found that there's so many different problems that even we couldn't identify selfishly to tell you where should you start. So we want to put this decision in your hands to say, listen to the different methods. I mean, Julie talks about there is a real science behind the brain, and Jill has a phenomenal method to identify, and keep sort of these checkpoints of what are you doing or what should you be doing to make sure that you are getting your growth for your organization without losing the people. And on my end is always about, is your strategy working? I mean, look at everything has changed. So if you think that you don't have to adjust your strategy in some sort of point or fashion, that's probably an incorrect statement, because so many changes have been made. And so, and we have Madeline, who talks about the hidden power of introverts on the team. And we have our chief doodler, Lisa, who is, should we just hint on that, on what we're doing with our doodler? Who wants to reveal that?
Yeah, and I'm showing actually slides right now here for everyone to see. This is all 15 of us. This is the easy team together. And then here is a glimpse on the first day, which I mentioned is Engage. And these are the 5 speakers that will be coming to you on the first day on May 17th. And Tuesday, the 18th will be Adapt, because we've discussed, it's clear everyone needs to be adaptable right now. Those are your speakers. That does include Lisa, so I'll let you mention to her. And then, of course, the third day will include Beate and myself and 3 others talking about strategize. How do you strategize? What strategies are best going to help you with other issues that have been already previously laid out?
Good stuff.
Do we have a doodle? Do you have any of your doodles downloaded?
I don't have any doodles yet, but so you want to, Beate, you want to give a hint, because this is going to be something really special. And
so part of our idea was, because we have now so many video meetings, how do we make them more engaging? So we asked our chief doodle officer, Lisa, to doodle all of our interviews and our sessions. And so at the end of each one of the interviews, you'll have about a 60 to 90 second recap where you can watch her doodle the entire conversation. And while this is a fun little thing for you to watch, we also want you to pay attention to what small little things you can do to make sure that people are clear about what takeaways you want them to have when you have these town halls. Because again, I'm going to put this out to the both of you. When I put 15 people in one room and they hear the same thing, what are they taking away? Do I have control over what they take away? I only do that when I control the narrative. So when you bring someone in that makes meetings more engaging, and Pat popped in earlier, and Pat is also one of our engagement specialists for a hybrid model, is what do you do to make it a little bit more fun? And how do you make sure that they take away what you want them to take away from the meeting?
Yeah, and in a fun way, going back to the brain conversation, in a way that's not just bullet pointed, right? It's a fun way to go back and have that always there. So you have a little piece of art, but at the same time, you've got these great takeaways.
Yeah, and it's that one snapshot at the end when that doodle is finished and all of those main points. Lisa Rothstein did amazing in catching all of the main points of the interview. So you could literally just download that one thing and go back to it 6 months later, and your brain is going to recall everything based on that picture, based on that doodle. So I loved mine. I was like so ecstatic. I'm like, I got to hire Lisa to do other things for me.
It's fantastic. See, we use each other. That's right. It's great. Well, ladies, it has really been fun. We are going to keep doing this through the 20th even. We're going to remind everyone even the morning of the 20th with a quick live to join us. So either myself or Pat will be going live every day between now and then. And we hope that others will join. And I know most people watch the replay, and that's usually where we get this from. So we will be putting it out there, keeping you informed. And we encourage everyone to register to be a part of this amazing event that will just be so value packed. So any parting words, ladies, before we leave?
Yeah, and make sure that as you're watching this and something comes up or you have a case scenario that you'd like us to talk about in one of the lives, just ask the question or start your question with how can I, or here's a scenario, what should I? And we'll be happy to bring that in as it's appropriate. I mean, you got access to a lot of brain power in the space. So we want you to take advantage of that. And I can't wait to see you all in the Easy Think Tank. And don't forget to register and tell everyone about it. It's free. We're not pitching anything. There's no sale. You can't even if you come with a credit card, you couldn't buy anything. We just want you to be informed.
That's a very valid point. Thank you. Excellent.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you for having us on, Jill.
Of course. We'll do it again soon. And I want to thank everyone again for joining today. It was a little different, but it was fun. And please join in on Thursday for our regular interview on Celebrity Customer Experience, Riffs with me, Jill Raff. And we will be back on Friday here live with more of my fellow teammates, or maybe the same, maybe different, to talk about it. So come with your questions, and we look forward to seeing you on the Think Tank, easythinktank.com. Thank you all. Let's see, we have one more comment here. Pat is saying it will be easy and free, zero pitch, nothing to buy at all. Just great ideas, new resources, www.easythinktank.com. She recapped what Beate told us, so that was awesome. And we look forward to it. So thanks again, ladies. It's great having you here.
Thanks for having us. Bye.